Thank you for joining us this month. We This month's topic is contract management, and so understanding the uh, contracting from start to finish. So I did, when I walked in, I heard a couple of the industries that you're in. It's good that you're here for two reasons. One, you're providing the insurance that's necessary for especially construction companies to do business, which is required for many contracts with the government. And then secondly, there are opportunities for you to be certified as well, to provide your services to the government agency on a consulting level, if not for specifics. What I do know is that opportunities specifically for your organization comes far and in between, meaning, you see construction contracts daily, new construction contracts daily, but for industry, or excuse me, insurance specific contracts, those may come twice a year, once every 3 to 5 years, but it is a lucrative opportunity to do business with the government, especially the city of Houston, not just for the income, but also exposure, because now you are doing business or in ability to network with other organizations that need your services. So it was insurance was the only industry that was in here. I'm more into moving, moving, relocation, and okay, transitioning, life transitioning. Okay, so sort of the same lines. Okay, there may be more opportunity for you in other types of agencies, especially as it relates to the state. But again, I'll let Dr. Jackson speak on this as far as the city opportunities as far as insurance and moving services.
Right. So I'm Dr. Portia Jackson with the City of Houston's Office of Business Opportunity. And it's really all about just looking for opportunities on our site, which is purchasing.houstontx.gov, and you'll see those solicitations. Jada was correct in her addressing of the insurance opportunities. And as far like relocation services, um, maybe some other agencies might be more of your bread and butter for that particular spot. Not to say that there's not opportunities with the city for that, but those are going to come so far and few between that your target market would not be us. So,
But if I heard office reorganization, right? Uh, Sounded like it would be a service where new buildings, new offices getting set up. So not just moving services, but organizing.
So we
for
do
home
organizing,
deposits.
like if a executive is like, my focus is more like transitioning. So it could be transitioning from a small office to a bigger space and more personal also, like an executive is just like has all these documents and paperwork and doesn't know how to, he wants to focus on his, moving and it's just that part. That may be more on the corporate realm that you
yeah.
would see opportunities for that. Not to say that, now last month our topic was certifications, getting minority certified. Not to say that getting your certifications won't help you on the corporate level because they do look for small businesses to be certified as minorities so that they can meet goals within their organization. So they're outside of doing business with the city of Houston. There are other opportunities. Okay, so today's discussion is to help you understand what's included in contracting. A lot of people, the first thing they hear is that you can get $500,000 contract from the city of Houston, and then oh, I'm gonna apply and I'm gonna get it. There's a process. There's levels to this. And so what we wanted to do is inform you of that process. So, but before we do that, I am Jada Harris. I am a certified score mentor with the City of Houston's score location. We are a national organization, which means that we have locations all over the United States. We are the second largest chapter in the United States, with over 150 volunteers that can help you in various areas, whether it's marketing, financial management, social media, financial planning templates, which can be found on our website at score.org/Houston. That will allow you to pull down the templates, a marketing plan, a financial plan, so that you can have those resources as well as other resources at your fingertips. But what we offer is an opportunity for you to connect with an individual in your specific area that you can talk about your business for free. Before you talk to an attorney, before you talk to a CPA, you can talk to one of us, including an attorney and CPA, that can give you advice as far as your business. So, in collaboration, we have the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity to help us get the understanding of what contracting looks like from an agency. So, Dr. Jackson has introduced herself, but is there anything that you want to add to the introduction?
Not yet.
Okay, all right. So we also have Ravi Baumbach. I'm getting there. Who is the executive director for the Center of Entrepreneurship here at HCC. He is over several locations within, and he'll give you his spiel. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Awesome, thanks. Uh, she always promotes me, which is why I love being around people who cheer me as my director. But there is no executive
Okay,
director,
all
so
right.
but I like the title.
Okay.
I may pitch it to the chancellor. Like, hey, director of students innovation and entrepreneurship at Houston Community College. Part of my role is helping students and uh, you know get infected by the entrepreneurial virus and tell them it's important to consider this entrepreneurship as a career choice. So I am a cheerleader for that. So we host events such as hackathons and pitch competitions across the college. And then we also have programs to support small business owners, minorities, women, micro entrepreneurs, and veteran entrepreneurs. All the flyers are on the table there, so feel free to pick one, take a picture. No one else wants it, you can take the flyer. But the idea there is that flyer has the contact information for reaching out to our office. HCC is a large institution across the city. Most people don't know it operates 70 buildings across Houston. It spends about $1 million a day to be in operation. Its budget's nearly $400 million, and it needs everything from landscaping to the lighting, the furnish, anything and everything you can imagine. It hosts hundreds of events on its campuses. Sees 50 to 60,000 people go in and out of its doors. So it's a large operation. And it always needs services from the small business community. So the opportunities there with our procurement office, opportunities to get entrepreneurship education, small business education from our office. We host special workshops and programs where you don't necessarily tie into an associate degree or anything. If you just want to upskill yourself or your employees on certain skills, we have programs for that. But then lastly, we have dedicated programs like the Veterans Entrepreneurship Program, where we have this working with the Veterans Chamber of Commerce, learn that they are looking for some digital skills, some business skills, and then a local launch pad. So we host a dedicated pitch competition for veterans to try to gain some startup capital. So we'll be hosting one this semester. It's a $60,000 raise that we've done with cash and investment prizes. And those are the things we do. We advocate for the small business owner in our region. We try to support. So start and grow entrepreneurs is kind of our mission tagline. So my cards will be on the table, but so thankful to SCORE and the Office of OBO to be coming out and providing this relevant education and information to us. We record it, we make it available on demand for our students, and very thankful for the partnership. So this is many months in the making. So I appreciate y'all and having your patience and being here. Over to you.
Okay, perfect. So as Robbie said, this is our second year. We're almost finished with the second year. We have a meeting next month on the topic of contract management and the tools that they'll help you manage your contracts. But more excitingly, The month of December, we have the City of Houston's
And you know
Office of
what?
Business
I
Opportunities.
brought flyers
She
for
brought
each
flyers. All
and
right.
every one of you.
Meet the Buyer event
Yes.
that allows you to actually
The
shake
camera see
hands.
this?
Yeah.
I'll
See,
zoom into
Okay.
that one.
this is what happens when you're virtual. You don't get a flyer. But
Yes.
the information is located on,
I'll keep some here.
yeah, okay,
Okay.
Robbie, you have them for you
I'll write some more in
when you
here.
join us next month in person.
Hmm.
But it is an opportunity for you to shake hands with the actual buyers within the City of Houston. And as we talked about through the last couple of years, is that it's all about relationships. So building those relationships, this is the opportunity to get one started with the buyers within each department. Now, I'm sorry, what was your name again? Nisha. The more and more that we talk, universities would be a great fit for you because they're constantly moving, to different buildings and, different classrooms, things like that. So that might be a niche for you as well. So with that being said, I kind of skipped some slides here. So, what did that point to it?
Yeah, I'm done.
Down. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely. Please do so. Okay, there we go. So, contract management. So, giving you a visual here of what's included in managing contracts. So, I've managed contracts for about no over 25 years now, and so from a university experience of helping department heads, CEOs, PhDs, doctors apply for funding in order to, fund their projects, if not their businesses. So with that being said, this is the typical process that when you are interested in contracting, that you would have to experience or go through. Okay, and so we'll talk about each step. So pre-bid activities. Pre-bid activities includes the preparation of preparing to bid on a contract. Okay, and what that could include is your getting your documents in order, you doing research about your competition, um, understanding and connecting to the buyer, contract manager. So again, the opportunity in December on the 7th,
Yes. December
um,
7th.
8:30 to 12:30. Tell us more about that.
Sure. So this is our 15th year of doing Meet the Buyer, and as long as I've been doing it, I like to change things. So it is really basically an expo. We bring out the major buying departments for the city of Houston. Their buyers are there, as well as prime contractors with the city who are looking for subcontractors. So there's that piece of certified firms comes in because to be a sub on the city contract for it to count for the buyer, if it has a goal, you have to be a city certified firm. Also, we'll have other government agencies who have procurement opportunities available, as well as business support agencies. So that those are all of, I think it's over 100 and something different business support organizations. So some may be funding, some may be education, have workshops, actual signature programs, while others could be marketing services, mentorship, all those things that you need to support your organization, to support your business. These organizations come out. So it's all basically all of us coming together to say our goal is to make sure that you're able to get government contracts and to be able to perform well on government contracts. So everybody there plays some type of piece or part in the government contracting world. And then along with it, we have workshops, and the workshops change each year. And that's kind of what I meant by I kind of change some things every year. So this year, brought back by popular demand, we have a business spotlight. So if you get there at 8:30, which is when it starts, we got about 25 minutes, and we just ask the businesses there to come up, and it's your time to actually showcase your business. You got about a minute and a half to 2 minutes, and I'm rough on that 2 minutes. I will cut you off. But you come and you just tell people about your business so that people know who you are. Because once the expo starts, it's just a moving process. And so you're able, if people see that you're up there on the stage, oh, this person does insurance, oh, she does, moving and transition. I need to talk to her. So then they know who you are and they look for you throughout that part. Then at 9, we have our traditional program where we kind of tell you about some updates that are happening, and especially with our office and in the city government. We're hoping that the mayor will grace the stage this year. So if any of his people are watching, we hope the mayor will come. And and because this is close to his last term,
Yes.
so this is his last term. We got about 31 days in December, and this is 7. So hopefully he'll come and be able to speak to everyone. But we have some new things that are rolling out in doing business with the city. That will be the highlight of the program. Then we have different workshops. So our workshops include finding your way in transportation. Transportation is huge. Some a lot of opportunities are about to open up for folks in transportation. And so we have a dynamic panel that's going to break down different parts of transportation. Y'all know what last mile is? So see, that's why you need to come to, there's a lot of different things, and that can be some opportunities for people to expand their business in the different aspects of transportation. And then we have Amazon coming, and so they're going to be talking about listing your business or your services on Amazon, and how that plays a part with the city of Houston is, for instance, if we take the police department, there may be, maybe they're looking for binoculars, they just need maybe 2 at this point. They go to Amazon to get it. Well, now Amazon wants to work with the city so that when the police department, and I'm just using them as an example, says we want to order some binoculars, when they go on Amazon to find those binoculars, our certified firms are the firms that pop up to provide that service.
That's amazing.
And so not only do you become the first ones to pop up to do business with the city, but you're on Amazon. So anybody looking for those services, now you've opened your doors up to get business from not just the city but other folks. So they're going to be there talking about that, as well as we'll be doing our recap as of the year and of the event. And we have 2 special on sites that are happening: DBE certification, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, which we do not have enough firms DBE certified in Houston, so we need to get folks DBE certified. And so that's going to be happening there. You can make an appointment prior to, or if you want to walk up, they'll have a person dedicated for walk up, and you can walk through that application with the officer right there with you. So we'll have space for that. And then there's another system that the city is going to be transforming into. You'll hear about that at Meet the Buyer, but there'll also be folks there to get you signed up. So you come, you can get DBE certified, you can get registered, you can get knowledge, you can network. So that's what's going down at the Meet the Buyer. So it's a lot happening,
Yes.
and I love to have a lot happening. So registration is free. So make sure you come out, and Centerpoint is our title sponsor, so they will have their primes there looking to work with certified firms. And so if you think about Centerpoint, that's another huge door of a lot of different opportunities available for firms. So check us out. Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. So what that means, it's a certification socially, economically based, which means race and gender are not the factors, but basically, in a nutshell, is the owner, the primary owner, their personal net worth less than 1.32 million minus investments in the business and the primary residence. If so, then you can be certified as a DBE.
And what you're indicating is that there's not enough, which means there's goals out there that are not being
Right.
met, which means that's the greater opportunity for you to get that contract or to be reviewed for that contract.
Yes, and DBE is not, you have certain certifications that are kind of just restricted to certain agencies. So DBE is one of your more flexible certifications. So just keep that in mind.
So one of the things that Dr. Jackson mentioned, which is golden, is the 8:30, where you get to what was it called?
It's a business spotlight.
Business spotlight. Now, many organizations or small businesses that maybe in your seat, like it said, the insurance agencies that the opportunities are far in between. There is an opportunity for you to pitch or to sell or to introduce your business to the buyer, which you would have to make an appointment, connect with them, which again is sometimes difficult because they're not sitting and waiting for calls to come in. And this opportunity that they're giving to you is I mean, it's very difficult to get this opportunity. So when you are able to get an appointment to kind of sell yourself to the agency for a service that they may not be aware of, especially in the insurance agency, or excuse me, industry, there may be a product that has just come out that may be of interest to the agency, that when you get in front of the buyer, that they're aware of it, and then maybe they can create an opportunity for you or for that specific service. So it does take a bit more than things that are readily available for contracting, such again as construction. Those no one you don't really have to knock on the door of City of Houston to get to find a solicitation for that. But to find a solicitation for insurance, then it may be far and in between, like we said. So developing that relationship is key. The vendor spotlight is a great opportunity. To I would get there at 8 o'clock. All right. So
Yes,
okay.
yes. Yes. So you can't just come up with the 2 minutes if you don't register for Meet the Buyer. So yeah, you'll register for Meet the Buyer, and then no, no, you'll just let me know. Mhm. Mhm. Yes. So what will happen is that you'll receive an email after you've registered. When we get closer to the time, you'll receive an email to say, here's the slots to sign up. Because we only have 25 minutes, so not everybody's going to be able to do that.
So that's
So
what 10 vendors that are
10 or so, and you may
yeah.
just get a minute. It
Yeah.
just depends. So you'll receive an email on to sign up for that. And just to let you know, last year when we did this, we had people to sign up. Most of the folks didn't sign up, so I just took people from the audience to come up. And so you're talking about there was a crowd of maybe like 300 people that they were able to introduce their business to. And a lot of those people, and I remember one guy specifically because he had on a scarf, and his scarf represented what he did. So it's about branding yourself.
Yes.
And so I remember him in particular because he came up there, he made his spiel, and then he walked off. And then towards the end of the event, he told me, I got so many contacts because people were able to identify him because of that scarf, and they were coming up to him throughout the event. So it's about networking with the vendors, but it's also about networking with each other, because you never know what other business owner out there can utilize your services or your product. And so he was able to make some connections and some business just from the folks in attendance, because he was able to showcase it. And then, to be honest, that Meet the Buyer was recorded. So that lives on our YouTube channel. So anytime somebody goes to our YouTube channel, they're seeing those businesses. So that's just continued advertisement.
So everything.
There's no way to, since they took attendance today, there's no way to get the list started now.
No, because the list is not set up. I
I
got like 10,000 things to do, so you'll just have to wait. You have to wait when my train pulls up to make that offer. Yes.
All right, well, at least you know to look out for the email. So register soon, so
Yeah.
you get the email.
Just
don't
repeat it again, what you said.
Don't say it till the day of.
Right.
Oh.
So much of what we've talked about, especially with Meet the Buyer, it indicates what needs to be done at the pre-award activities. This is not even the process of applying for or bidding on the contract that you're interested in. There has to be research. This research can be done in multiple ways. One, by going to these events. There's also what is known as a pre-bid meeting, where you're able to network with the prime as well as other subcontractors, and also to find out who the buyer or contract manager is for that particular bid. all this research you need to know, not just for the particular bid that you're interested in, but because this is your industry, you're going to need this information going forward so that when other bids become available, you know who your competitors are, you know who the contract manager may be. If if that individual is not listed on the next one, at least you have a contact that you've networked with. So these are pre-bid activities. Um, once you, yes, sir.
Ask me the question, just tell me.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So with the contracting, for my space that I deal with, so I've been to City Hall, Forest, Missouri City, Sugar Land, Stafford, to see how can I get myself as a vendor to offer my services to the employees, of course, insurance, retirement planning, type of thing. So, do you all help with that also, or that's something out of a different, totally different ballgame when it comes to that?
So when you say, do we help with it, are you saying SCORE or are you saying who, what do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so SCORE, uh, I am one of the subject matter experts as it relates to contract management. So when you connect with a mentor within SCORE, just a general mentor, they will pull you into a co-mentoring session if you want to speak specifically about contract management. So just based on what you said, as far as insurance and retirement,
With the police department, the fire
yeah.
department, or city board.
So that's a contract.
Mhm.
So as far as the insurance is concerned for city employees, whether it's police department, fire, anybody, that's through HR.
Okay.
Right. So it's not, yes.
So I
So
did that.
yes. So it's not gonna each right, because each department is not gonna handle insurance. HR is gonna handle the insurance for all the employees. And so when HR is looking for insurance providers, they'll put that's a huge bid. They're gonna put that out for bid
Is
solicitation.
that a bid, or you just come in and try to be a vendor?
No. So in order to bid on a contract, you have to be a vendor. So a vendor doesn't mean that you've already had a contract. It just means you are trying to do business with the city. Just like with any other government agency, you're going to have to be a registered vendor. So registered vendors then can bid on the opportunities or do business with the opportunities with the government agency. And so as far as insurance goes with the city of Houston, that's going to be a contract that's going to be put up for bid. So anytime they're looking for insurance, you'll have to check the bid solicitation. Also, as a vendor, because you have to select your NIGP codes, anytime there's an opportunity related to the NIGP codes that you have selected in your profile, they'll automatically NIGP. Yes. So I think we might have to go back to the very beginning. So when we're talking about contract management and you're talking about doing business with the city of Houston or with any government agency, you have to be a registered vendor with that agency. There is no one site where you sign up and you are a vendor for everybody. Every agency has their own registration. So you register to be a vendor with that particular agency. With that agency, you're going to create a profile and they're going to ask for either your NIGP code or your NAICS codes. Those are codes that identify your products and your services. So insurance, yes, but what's the code, right? So that's how the government identifies what product or service that they're looking for is by a code. And so you select all the codes. So if you have more than one, that's fine. If you have more than 10, that's fine, but all the codes that are associated with the products or services that you offer, you select those in your vendor registration. Therefore, when there's opportunities that come up and it relates to your code or it has your code on there, you'll get an automatic email to say, here's a solicitation, it's blah, 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 blah. So then it's your choice then to say, I'm interested in it. I might be wanting to bid for it, or I'm interested, I might want to be a subcontractor because maybe it's something that it's too broad where I only have a little piece of that and I just want to be a subcontractor on. That way, then that's when you go to the pre-bid meeting, right? Because you're going to look at that solicitation, you're going to read it, and any questions, you're going to note those questions. So when you go to the pre-bid meeting, that's your time to find out additional information about that solicitation. That's your time to ask any questions that you may have. That's your time to network and really to see who else is interested in being the prime or who else is interested in subcontracting. Because if you're coming from the subcontracting realm, that's your time to network with the prime. because whoever that prime is, they're the person that's submitting the bid to the agency. In that, especially with the city of Houston, if I'm submitting a bid for insurance and Jada wants to do the piece about bicycle insurance, that's part of that contract, I have to list that I'm subcontracting whatever amount of percentage to Jada. Because if I submit the bid and it has a goal on it and I don't have any subcontractors, I've already disqualified myself, right? So if you're in the subcontracting realm, you have to make sure that Jada has to make sure that she's finding out, okay, so Portia's gonna be, she's trying to be a prime on it. Let me connect with her so that I can be listed on there. Robbie's gonna be a prime. Let me connect with him too, because both of them are submitting bids. Maybe whichever one wins, I'm still going to be a sub. So that's when we talk about the pre-bid meetings or pre-bid conferences. That's what's going on. So in order to get to that point, you need to make sure that you're a vendor, you identify your NAICS codes. And so when we talk about contracting, where sometimes people kind of fall by the wayside, is you got to know your business. You got to know what you bring to the table. You got to know who your competitors are. So especially either whether you're a prime or sub, you got to know who had the contract before, right? Who had the contract before, and how do I compare to that particular company? Because you are competing against people not only in Houston, not only in Texas, not only in the United States. There are people from other countries who have government contracts. So you're competing on a world stage for these contracts. So you need to know what your business does, what competitive advantage you have, why would they want to pick your business over all the rest of them, and what do you bring to that table? So when you're going to that pre-bid conference, not only are you going to getting information, but you're coming in there with your game face on because you already have a plan on how you're going to be a sub or intend to be a prime contractor. So you have to know those things and make sure that you are registered to be a vendor. And if you're coming as a sub and you know that that has a goal on it, don't come in there saying I'm looking for a subcontracting role, Jada, on this contract that you're a prime, and it's a 34% MWBE, and I don't even have an M or W. She's not going to pick you because in order for her to get a contract, she has to have a city MWBE. So you got to make sure that when you read these things and you are looking at these solicitations, that you're prepared when you come in. And so with the city, we have one buying department, and that buying department will put out the solicitation for whomever is looking. So if there's an insurance, that's typically going to come from HR. So HR will contact our buying department and say, hey, we're looking for insurance, blah, blah, blah. They'll put it out, set up everything, and they'll put that solicitation out. So then you have to then bid on that particular insurance contract.
A lot of moving parts, right? She mentioned MWBE. That acronym is spelled out here, and what that is an identification that you are who you say you are. Believe it or not, there are some organizations that will try to apply for these certifications, and they're not woman-owned, meaning that there's not a 51% ownership in the business. And that may be like a knowledge that they just said no. They thought 50-50 was enough, but you have to be at least 51% woman-owned or women-run business to be considered a women-owned business. Okay. Secondly, MBE, there are organizations, corporations out there that would love to meet that goal. There's what, $5 billion worth of contracts in the city alone that's available right now.
I don't know, it's a lot.
Okay, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know the number.
but all of those contracts have goals on them. And a lot of those goals are not being met because there are minority organizations, businesses that are not certified. So getting certified is a great way to get included in business, especially if you have not done business with government agencies. Now, as Dr. Jackson mentioned, vendor registration is different from the certifications. It's two steps. In order for you to get certified, and it's like she said, in order to even bid on a contract, you have to be registered vendor for each agency. So the City of Houston has one, Metro has a vendor registration, Port of Houston, all of them have one. Now,
whomever you're trying to do business with, you have
exactly.
to be registered. And
Mhm.
I just want to add something too. So not all of our contracts are going to have certification goals on them. Some contracts won't. There are also contracts that are considered informal procurement where they won't have any goal on it because of the amount is anywhere between 3 to 50,000. So they don't have to have a goal on it. So a lot of businesses will choose that realm because one, that might just fit their business model, or two, that's their introduction into doing business with the city, is to work on smaller contracts, be able to handle that, grow their capacity before they move into the larger contracts.
Yeah, which is a good strategy. You had a question?
Oh, different entities. Is that on your website, the score website? The different ones.
No, no, that's no.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has all the different government. I mean, there's too many, honestly.
Mhm.
So it's just, as a business owner, you kind of have to get out there and realize, okay, what do I do?
Mhm.
Who would more than likely utilize my services? And then go into the research. You want to go and visit their websites. And if they're government agencies, that information is going to be public. You can go and look at past bids and see their buying pattern.
Mhm.
Private agencies usually got to have a connection,
Mhm.
for that. But it's really about research is all in the center of it. And I know I always say it,
Mhm.
and somebody has told me, well, we don't know how to research, or we don't like researching. I mean, it's part of business.
You have
So,
to. Mhm.
hire somebody if you don't like doing it.
So my
Yeah.
organization, Harrison Company, not Score, but my business, I do that for my clients. So I am a resource as far as that goes, to help you with understanding resources and understanding the bits and pieces of this. In addition to that, there's what's called Apex Accelerator. They have webinars and in-person trainings where they speak to you about different aspects of contract management from the federal level, which is the highest level of government contracting. But understand that whatever's done on the federal level trickles down to the lower level, city, state, municipalities, school districts. So if you get that understanding, it'll help you understand what is done on the different levels. Now, as far as the agencies and what agencies do what, again, that's something that my business does for my clients. So in getting vendor registered and obtaining your certification, you have to have your documents in order. You have to have, and they ask for your firstborn, every agency. It's no, and I say that jokingly, but at the same time, it's very serious. They want your social security card, they want your driver's license, they want your birth certificate because they are, it's very similar to when you're applying for a position at a business, at a corporation. They want to know who you are and that who you say you are is true. And so they document all that information. If you do not have those documents in order, you may miss a solicitation because you're not prepared. So this is a part of getting organized for the vendor registration and the certifications. So again, that was pre-activities. That's everything you need to, not everything, but there's a lot of what you need to do before you even get awarded. Okay, so once you have registered, vendor registered, you have obtained your certification, and let me make this note, you do not have to be certified to bid on a contract. What that does is it allows you to be identified, to meet any goals that they have, but you can bid on any contract without being certified. Okay, so now once you've gone through that part, it's and you have won the award. You you knocked it out the ballpark. It's uh, the pre-award. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. The pre-award process is soliciting the resources, and I haven't updated this slide, but PTAC is now the Apex Accelerator that I just mentioned. So SCORE is another resource that will help you understand the processes, like I mentioned earlier. The SBDC, as well as the Small Business Administration. All of us are connected in some way, these organizations, to help you guide you through this process. Then we have the application part, the bidding part, and that is the understanding of creating a workflow within your business. Now, many of you currently do business to business or business to clients right now, right? And you have a workflow or a process for each one of those types of clients. Well, when you start bidding on contracts, business to government becomes another um, opportunity for you to sell your services, of course. You have to develop a workflow for that process. This is not something that you can, do one time and expect for it to churn out the same things over and over again. You're going to have to develop a workflow, incorporate your staff in order to handle bits and pieces of the process. And there's appropriate ways of doing this. Again, when I worked for the university, helping departments develop that workflow and incorporate it into their business practices is important. You have to be persistent and consistent, which means, again, you can't do this one time and think it's just going to, develop into something. You have to consistently bid on contracts. Now, you know, I don't know about you, but I'm super, super busy with just my business to clients and business to business. But if I incorporate business to government, that's going to add to my work, and therefore I'm going to have to develop a consistent way of handling that. So for me, for example, I would uh, on a weekly basis, the city of Houston sends me an email based on the NIPG codes that Dr. Jackson mentioned. Uh, and when I get that email, I'm going to scan through it and see if there's any opportunities or solicitations available for my industry. If it's not, then I'll go ahead and move forward with my week. If I find an opportunity, then my next step, for example, would be to hand it off to my administrator so that she can document what's needed and the next steps and the deadlines. That's a workflow. And I'm being consistent because I'm doing it on a weekly basis. Now, weekly is too much, do it on a monthly basis, do it on a quarterly basis. Incorporate it so that you're persistent in what you're doing. If you do it just once and think that, in 6 months something's going to happen, it's not. Yes, sir.
So that step is you become a vendor, and then you get that email
Yes.
for
Hmm.
the NIGP.
With that, when you put your NIGP codes into the vendor registration, then yes, that's when they'll start sending you solicitations based on those codes. Or not solicitation, I'm sorry. They send you, well, no,
They'll
do
send
they?
you a notification that there's
Notification.
a solicitation
Mhm.
that has been identified with your NIGP code. So basically, if you're asking, so what is the first step to get into government contracting? My professional advice would be one, sit down with either SCORE or SBDC or any type of business support organization, even the Apex Accelerator. You can sit down with them and say, this is my business. Honestly, I would say sit down with either SCORE or SBDC and say, this is my business plan, right? This is where I'm trying to go, so they can understand what your goal is and make sure that you've appropriately identified your clientele and how you plan to market them and how you plan to grow your business and where you're trying to go. Then ask them, I'm trying to get into government procurement. Which agencies do you think I should target, right? And I tell people you can't go after all of them unless you got a whole bunch of employees and you got them assigned to it, right? So if you're just starting off, have them to help you to guide you so that you can kind of figure out, okay, today, I think I'm going to concentrate on this year on, the city of Houston. And then that way, now, since I'm going to concentrate on the city of Houston, let me register to be a vendor there. You register to be a vendor. Now let me start searching for those bids. And you're going to go through those steps that we just talked about before. You're going to look at those solicitations. You're going to see what appeals to you. I even tell people, look at the past solicitations. Look at that scope of work, because pretty much if it's going to be a contract that's renewed, it's going to be the same thing that they had before. But you want to get an idea of what they're asking for, what they look for you, and what the performance level is on that. So you can see, like, is this something that I really want to do? Is this something that I have the capacity to do? Or maybe I need to grow my business to get to that capacity to be able to handle these contracts. That's how I would tell you to approach it. And then if you see a solicitation, even if it's a past one, you see a solicitation, what I would do is I would set an appointment with Apex Accelerator and say, I want to learn how to bid prior to there being anything out there, right? Because we have to put out solicitations at least 2 weeks in advance. To be honest, if you see it 2 weeks, it might take you 2 weeks to prepare that, right? So you want to already know, how do I write bids? How do I read them? So that when you do see a solicitation in real time, you can just go after it instead of trying to educate yourself on how to do it. And then by that time moves so fast, it's up. So I would start from that point, meet with the score mentor or SBDC, get their professional advice on your business, have them do an assessment of where you're at, and so they can kind of help you to figure out, maybe you should try this particular agency and go there, register to be a vendor for that agency, look at the past bids. If you see one that is, for instance, for the city of Houston, if you ask us for the winning bid, we have to provide that information for you. So if you see a past one, you say, oh my gosh, had I known, been available, last year for this, I would have definitely bid on it. Put in the request to see that winning bid. Take that winning bid, take that scope of work that you've downloaded from the website, take that to Apex Accelerator and say, this is a bid that I would have liked to have bid on. Can you assist me so that I can be able to read and be to figure out this bid? Here's the previous bid, so I can help me to understand this. So if this bid comes back up, I can actually submit a bid myself to it. That way you're ahead of the game so that when you do see a bid that comes up, you're automatically ready to go and you know what it takes and what not to do so that you can be a viable candidate for that bid. That's my professional advice. And I think it's darn good
Yeah,
advice.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes. So, okay, we have got to time, but I do want to just run through the slides very quickly. Once you are awarded the bid, you beat everyone out. You do have to comply with the requirements of the bid, such as you have to, for instance, you have a requirement of hiring employees and following a specific procedure in hiring those individuals and maintaining them and paying them. That's going to be something that you will have to comply with within a bid, for example. The delivery of the service and goods, there's going to be a requirement of how to deliver it, especially as it relates to invoicing. They're going to have specifics on how the invoicing or the invoice should be set up so that you can get paid on time. If the invoice has an error on it or lack of information, it can stall out your payment for more than 45 days. So you want to be aware of what the requirements are, and that's going to be outlined in the contract when you get it awarded. You want to use management tools in order to execute the payroll, to deliver the services and goods, and we'll talk about that next month. I am a QuickBooks Pro Advisor, and that's one of the tools that you can utilize in order to manage contracts. And then also, there are periodic audits that the agencies may perform on you, especially in the industry of construction, where they'll show up on site unannounced to make sure that Joe Smith is working on that project, that everyone has hard hats as required by the contract, that the payroll has been executed appropriately. Or they may just send you a email saying, please, provide us with your payroll documents for the period of, June through July. That is a periodic audit that may be required within the contract. So those are some of the expectations that you would have at award. Now, post award is once the award is completed, then you also have a compliance requirement of providing the reports, the final reports that are related to the contract. And this is usually where a lot of agencies or businesses get lost because they think, okay, I got my last check, the project's completed, but then there may be a requirement that you have to provide the reports related to the contract. So you do want to be aware of that, as well as record retention. Most government contracts and grants, if we talk about that, has a requirement that you save the records for a period of time. Most of the time is 3 to 5 years. It could be longer depending on the project. So that's something else that you would have to consider, because that requires money and resources in order for you to retain those records. So the last thing are some tips that I have. I won't go through all of them, but what I do want you to know, which I have said throughout the years, is that this is a journey, not a sprint. Again, you don't apply for it and, you see it, the solicitation, you apply for it and you get it. It doesn't normally happen. It's a journey that you're going to learn. And once you do get this within your business practices, it can be very, very lucrative for you. Okay. So, lastly, do you have any questions? I know we've thrown a lot of information to you. These podcasts are recorded, so you can always go back and review what we spoke about today as well as the previous months. But also you can reach out to us. Our contact information is there on the screen, so that if you have questions that we did not answer for you today, you can reach us.
And then network is always a tip. So, and I can just tell you from people that I've seen witnessed go from just starting their business to getting contracts is they're always out at different networking events. They um, they have their business card. I see them with just their business card. Then as time goes on, then I'm seeing them with their branded, attire. I'm seeing them being involved in different business development programs with different agencies. And then it's like, then I'm seeing them getting government contracts. And so it's really about networking, aligning yourself, knowing who those key players are. A lot of times it's the gatekeepers because they can kind of guide you throughout that particular organization and they can look out for things for you and they can say, "Oh my gosh, I just talked to somebody the other day. They could utilize your services. Let me connect you." But if you're just at home and you just come out to one event per month, you don't say anything, it's probably going to be a long process for you because you have to remember people do business with who they're familiar with, right? And so, and a lot of times the word of mouth goes a long way.
Long way.
So just being out there, you don't have to attend every event because you have to work on your business, but you have to try to, create a presence, especially when you're just starting out in a new market. Create that presence until people know you, and then you can kind of step back, from that and then begin to work on it. But those are just some other tips. There's different chambers of commerce and business professional organizations you can align yourself with that might have smaller events where you can connect with people and connect with officials or representatives from those different government agencies as well as the private sector so that you're always in the know and making friends with people because you never know. You might be out somewhere and Robbie says, "Oh yeah, I got a contract with Centerpoint. They're looking for somebody," and you're like, "I didn't know anything about it." So you just found out just because you knew Robbie because you met him somewhere else. So just always keep that in mind, that networking piece, because that's going to be very helpful in making your process go a little bit quicker. Um, Especially in government procurement and definitely the private sector. I think if you don't network, I don't know how you're going to know about what's going on.
What what I love about what Dr. Jackson said is, as far as the networking, is that I think after you really consider government contracts, it's going to change your focus. You're going to focus on the government contractor because now you're networking with the business to business. You don't have to go after the business to business. You're actually in the realm. You don't have to go after clients because it's a trickle down from the business to business. So again, if you look at or consider government contracts, all of what you're doing right now is going to come to you because you're changing your focus to government contracts. Okay. Do you have any?
What was
Yes.
Apex?
Yes. So Apex Accelerator is the federal level organization similar to SCORE that helps you with webinars, in-person events that talks to you about government contracts. They also have counselors there that you can connect with that will walk you through the process of bidding on contracts.
And they help on the local, state, and federal government.
As far as corporations, there is the Minority Supplier Development Center. I think it is
Council,
council that that can help you connect to corporate uh, organizations. So there's
MBDA does that too, right, Robbie?
yes through HCC.
For MBDA will connect you to prime contractors for the state and the county.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
but
I don't
not
think they
private.
do- It could, you know what, that's a good question.
I think they do,
I
because
think
they
they
do stuff with Turner and
Mhm.
Turner,
Right,
yeah.
Turner's are
Mhm.
private,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
But they do, yeah.
MBDA, we use acronyms, so sometimes it's hard for us to know exactly what it stands for, but I want to say minority,
Yeah, Minority Business Development Agency.
yes.
So especially in the insurance realm, those two would be a good resource to connect to because it's connecting you to corporations. Okay. So I'm sorry that we took you over your 10 minutes over, but we are here again next month on November the 2nd at 1 o'clock promptly. Again, you can reach us at the contact information that we provided.
And thanks for coming out in the rain.
Yes, absolutely.